Hey everyone, welcome back to Immediate Movie Reactions. I am here after seeing Blink Twice. This is the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz, and this is my third recording of this video because the first time I was almost done and then a motorcycle came through and completely ruined everything. The second time a flock of, 300 geese came by and just totally destroyed it. And so I don't want to spend too much on this movie. It is starring Channing Tatum and Naomi Ackie. Adria Arjuna is in this. There's a few faces and names you might recognize. Haley Joel Osment, Christian Slater, and they're kind of periphery characters. This really is the story of Channing Tatum. He plays Slater King, which where are these names coming from, right? This is like Christian Grey, and he is a CEO, some multimillionaire, billionaire, who knows. He owns an island. He invites these two women with him after they crash a party to this island, and they get there, and then it is a Roman bacchanalia of, however many days pass of them basically just doing drugs and more drugs and drinking and then more drugs. And it's almost this sort of like The Menu with Ralph Fiennes, setting up this really kind of cool setting and atmosphere, and Zoe Kravitz does an amazing job of setting the color and setting the tone and framing out each shot. You know exactly what's going on. They build up this mystery as we start to find out, obviously, that things are not going well. Things are not quite what they seem, and I think that is absolutely fantastic. The first part of this movie, really, up until they just start doing drugs for 2 hours, I think is interesting and it's engaging. Unfortunately, it's kind of fizzles out because even though we know something's wrong, they don't give us enough pieces until eventually they were just like, fuck it, here's everything. Like, here's what happened. And you know what? The way that we're, hiding this mystery, the way that we're revealing it doesn't really make any sense in any capacity. But I don't think that that's really the point. I think that, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give some spoilers here. What happens is it turns out that these women are basically brought here to be drugged and raped night after night after night. And by the end of this film, you want them to overcome as they figured out what's going on. You want them to overcome and you want them to rise above. And you think maybe it's going to become this sort of women's empowerment, but it doesn't, because most of them end up dead and they don't overcome. And the actual ending of this movie is so shit. Like, it's so stupid. It was almost there. It was almost right there. I think from a technical perspective, this film is beautiful. It's brilliant. Like I said, it's well shot. It's menacing. I think that you get into the idea. You're feeling what the characters are, not feeling what they're feeling, but like you can understand, that creeping, that rising dread. Unfortunately, it kind of hides, like I said, too much of that mystery. And, so when you hear the musical tones in the background, you're like, hey, that's kind of cool. That means that this is sort of resetting or something has just happened that is now being hidden from us. But that's it. It's just a gimmick. It's just a game that they're intentionally hiding information that we could potentially have known to increase our investment in the film. And by the end, I kind of wanted, like, the old gods of Cabin in the Woods. I wanted them to rise up and take them all. But they don't do that. It doesn't really, in the end, I think, say anything interesting or new. I think this is kind of a waste of a film. It's cool to watch. I guess there are parts of it that are absolutely stunning. But the actual mystery is sort of like a Shutter Island, where it's like, oh yeah, if you had told us instead of intentionally hiding things, then it would have made more sense. I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it. See it, stream it, or skip it. I think that this is a skip it movie for me. It's sort of like this, going back to Bodies, right? It's a bunch of people that I don't like and I don't want to be around and I don't want to see. But it ended up being a really kind of an interesting, cool, gimmicky movie. This, I think, was not. It was so caught up in its own hype that I think it couldn't get past that. And, sort of like a M. Night Shyamalan movie where it's like, it's intentionally creating this mystery that shouldn't even really be that much of a mystery. And when it finally reveals it, it's like that makes zero sense at all. So that's where I am. Yeah, skip this movie. There I am. Whatever. I appreciate you all. If you could please like, share, and subscribe and all that. And I'll see you after the next movie. It might be Beetlejuice. I think that might be the next thing that's coming out that I'm going to see. So anyway, hey y'all, I'm back here to talk about Blink Twice again. And I don't do this very often because I do want to keep the integrity of the channel. The intention is that how I feel getting out of a movie, right? And I don't want to spend time analyzing it and then come back with, maybe a more in-depth review or whatever it is. But the more that I sit here thinking about this movie, you can see that, things have changed because I'm here at the dog park with my dog again. The angrier I get about it, because this is a movie that in the end gets too caught up in its own gimmick instead of trying to give us a message or a story. It isn't about toxic masculinity or women's empowerment or overcoming trauma. They say in the film, I think it's, forgetting is a treasure, right? And like, what the hell? So that's what happens with these women that are kidnapped, murdered, raped, drugged. They get forgotten about. They are faceless, nameless victims who don't even get a chance to have some sort of justice and to see vengeance, right? Like, that doesn't happen. And we can raise the question whether the main character, Frida, is it her responsibility to get this information out there? Or, like she does at the end of the movie, is she okay just serving herself? And that's the thing, is like, in the end, almost all of these people are pretty much, they're bad people because they don't really do the right thing. I think Adria Arjuna, again, I don't know the characters' names. Like, I know Frida and I know King, whatever his name was. All right. Like, that's basically the only two characters that we know. We don't know the women at all. And it should have been their story. It should have been them overcoming. Like, I would have cheered. I would have loved the end, for the 4 or 5 of them to rise up, and they have weapons, right? They have weapons. They have the upper hand. They know now what is happening in the guys. They're fooling the guys, but they have to continue to just pretend, and they lose. And oh my God, I guess it makes me so angry. And, it's disappointing that Zoe Kravitz wouldn't have found a way to make it more about the women. Again, is it her responsibility or whatever? I don't know. But anyways, the movie is just really not sitting well with me. And I got to go because there's a dog that's snapping at my guy. And so I will see you all again after the next movie.